today, the president had an event in the Oval Office where he talked about a bunch of stuff, but the point of it was to give $12 billion of my tax dollars to America's farmers. I'm not against the farmers, number three, but I'm not sure why they get $12 billion because the president decided to tariff people. Number three, this is the New York Times headline. Trump giving farmers $12 billion to blunt trade war fallout. Federal relief money comes after China boycotted American farm products in retaliation for U.S. tariffs. $11 billion of it is for an existing program that reimburses farmers, and $1 billion is for others. Here's the president, economic genius, number five, explaining why I get to give farmers money because he wants to tariff China.
Delighted to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real number is, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me, because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much-needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market.
Governor,
and look ahead.
I love our farmers. Our farmers are the salt of the earth. If I could give $12 billion directly to Senator Tester, I would. But there's a toy store in my neighborhood that went out of business because of the tariffs. Where's $12 billion for toy store owners? What about the consumers who can't afford to buy the falafel in my neighborhood? It costs $2.50 for one falafel ball. Where's the money for me to be able to afford falafel balls? Why do farmers get $12 billion? What's the reason for that? Or is it just because farmers vote in red states? I don't know. Why is that happening?
Well, I think you hit it on your second point. First of all, there isn't money for any of those groups that you want to give money to based upon our deficit. As a conservative Republican, I'd have to ask, where in the heck's the money coming from?
Well, it's coming from the tariffs, the trillions and cajillions coming from the
tariffs. This is showing the divide within my party.
Yeah.
And it's a divide in several areas. First of all, I know in North Carolina, the rural areas voted for Trump and the Republicans very heavily and have voted Republican very heavily in the past 20 years. I'm sure as a senator, very similar trends in Montana. And the farmers are a big part of that and all people associated with the farming community. By the way, the ag community is very big. It's just not, quote, farmers. We're also talking about all the association, the suppliers and the feeders and chicken farmers and the pig farmers here in North Carolina. When people think of farming, they only think of growing things. It's much, much bigger than that.
Yeah.
So he's got to reach out to the people that voted for him to get him elected president both the first and second time. And so they're not happy with the tariffs. And the division also within the party is the Club for Growth helped elect many Republicans currently in the House, especially the Freedom Caucus. And the Club for Growth was totally free tariff and against, by the way, they went against me in my campaign, spent, I don't know, $15 million against me based upon the tariff issue. That was their number one issue. So one of the silent things in our party that no one's talking about on Capitol Hill is behind the scenes, the Freedom Caucus, the conservative caucus, is free trade.
Yeah.
They got elected on free trade because the Club for Growth, the head guy out of Indiana ran for governor one time, former congressman. He gave a lot of money to these Republicans to get elected. So they are silent on this issue. And I'm sure they're putting a lot of pressure on the president. You've got to help out our farmers because these tariffs are counter to the way we initially got elected during the past decade. So that's the division within our party, very similar to some of the divisions in the Democratic Party. It's just not being talked about because the allegiance to President Trump, they can't risk that. They have a bigger allegiance to Trump than they do for the Club for Growth.
Yes, sir. Senator, do you understand why the farmers like you are getting $12 billion?
I think part of it's Pat's exactly right. I want to just say something really quick for what Pat
Yes,
said.
sir.
Pat, you're the kind of Republican I grew up with. That's not the Republican we got now. I mean, the good old conservative, pro-defense, pro-family values Republicans, man, they're hard to find. And I'm going to tell you, as a Democrat, I appreciate that because I believe in a two-party system and I like fighting that. I'm going to tell you what this reminds me of, Mark. This reminds me of a guy setting my house on fire and then coming up with a fire truck about 5 minutes later and says, "I'm here to help."
Yeah.
The tariffs caused the problem. We raise more food in this country than we consume. We have to have foreign markets. If we don't have foreign markets, the price tanks. That has happened. We depend upon foreign country for parts. I had a bearing go out of my round baler this summer. I would have loved to have a part made in USA. I went down to the local John Deere dealership. I bought it. It had made in Korea on it. That's fine. I needed to get the damn baler running because I had hay to roll up and get put in a bale. So I wasn't going to sit there and argue with them whether it was made in USA or made in Korea. The point is that those prices have gone up on the input side, whether it's parts or whether it's fertilizer, or herbicides, or whatever it might be, and it's pinched people down. I talked to one of my neighbors today, and I said, he's rolling out a $12 billion plan to support farmers, and he said, "I hope I get a lot of it because if I don't get a lot of it, it ain't going to help me a damn bit because my numbers are underwater." And it's because of those tariffs, by the way, that aren't paid for by other countries. They're paid for by the American taxpayer. And to say you're going to distribute it back to farmers and not take into account what you said, Mark, because there's a lot of other businesses that have been hit hard by these tariffs that deserve some attention too. Although I happen to be in the food industry, I think food's pretty damn important.
Yeah.
But the truth is that you need to ask yourself that question. Number one, just like Pat said, where's the money coming from? And then number two, why is it this group? Why isn't it somebody else? Because we've all been impacted. Everybody's been impacted by the tariffs.
Yes, sir. First, a word from our sponsors at Cozy Earth, who are having a sale so crazy, Eddie thinks it's crazy. That's how crazy it is. 40% off everything on the Cozy Earth site. Your blankets, your sheets, your bubble cuddle blanket, your shirts, and of course, the pants. Today, again, email from one of the members of the two-way community from a lady said, "I bought the pants for my husband, and I love the way he looks in them, and he doesn't much care about them, but believe me, they're the best pants he's ever owned, and she's getting him another pair for Christmas." Shh, don't tell. All the things on the Cozy Earth website right now available to the two-way community at 40% off. Give the gift of everyday luxury this holiday season. Head to CozyEarth.com. Use my code two-way for 40% off, and give the gift that lasts beyond the holidays. It carries into a cozy new year. That's right. Everything on the site right now, 40% off. Go to CozyEarth.com. I'd get the bubble cuddle blanket. If you're on there and you're buying other stuff, just add it to the basket. Get the bubble cuddle blanket, please. They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America. And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and two-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.